So hi there, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you, and thank you for your time today. It's really appreciated.
No, thank you for having us.
Great,
Really appreciate it.
you got it. Could you just mention who you are, what you do here, but more importantly, what are you all about? What drives you? What's your passion?
So my name is Terry Romero. I work here at the Office of Graduate Studies as the program coordinator for the office. One of the things that drives me is the idea of making graduate studies a more person-centric, people-centric, I'm not saying that word properly, place for all stakeholders involved. So one of the things that grad studies has been here at Trinity it's been its own silo. People really have held it to themselves and haven't really kind of gone outside its walls. So
that's an opportunity.
So this is an opportunity that I've been trying to figure out ways to make it easier, not only for our students to kind of approach graduate studies, but also our faculty and our staff members, and to know exactly who they can come to, when they can come to me, and to be able to make those processes for them a lot simpler than they have been.
Interesting. So you use the term person-centric. I've heard customer-centric or even human-centered. Why? Why is that important to you?
I like working with people. I like people to feel comfortable knowing that they have somebody that they know they can go to in order to do what they need to do. So one of the things that I've always have stated is that you can't do your job if I can't do mine. And if I can't do my job, everything kind of falls apart. And work and jobs start with people. Yes, there are tasks. Yes, there are items that need to be done, but those tasks are done by people. And so for me, it needs to be person-centric center.
Interesting. And where did you learn that, or how did you come about valuing that?
I've been in admin, now going on over 20 years. Don't age date me.
You said 2 years, yeah.
And one of the things that I've always done is I've always tried to figure out how I can help the person next to me. And so I've come to realize that for me, the work that I do is important and central to the people that I work around. And that's how I've come to that idea.
I love it. It's like a servant type of leadership.
Almost.
Yeah.
Almost. And one of the things I try to do, and I've tried to do, is to learn a little bit of what everybody does. Because if I can understand what you do, then when you come to me, I'm not asking you, well, what do you need? I'm not making your job 10 times more difficult because I don't understand what it is that you need. So if I can get in and learn a little bit about what it is that you do, when you come to me with your questions, it'll be much easier for me to give you that answer.
Okay, that's great. So you mentioned graduate studies. Could you describe what that means here in your role, and then perhaps who's involved with you inside this function? Like who would be your boss, who do you work with, etc.?
So, interesting. Graduate studies is, I don't want to say an offshoot. I think it is a stepping stone, an additional stepping stone for our students and for the community to come in and go beyond their bachelor's. It's a place where you can come in and continue your education and get just a little extra oomph to what you already know or to what you want to learn when you're here at Trinity. I've been in this position, I think I'm going on 2 years now. I'm on my second master's myself. I did my first one in English, my second one in public policy. So
Nice.
I have a little bit of an understanding from both the student side and now from the admin side. My boss is Professor Dan Rosowski, who's the Director of Graduate Studies. He reports up to the Dean of Faculty, who's now Sonia Cardenas. And the program revolves around currently three different programs: English, American Studies, and Public Policy. We also have two BA/MA programs, one through American Studies and one through Neuroscience. Those two particular programs are open only to Trinity College students that are undergraduates who would like to do a 5-year program and be able to graduate with both a bachelor's and a master's.
Mm-hmm. And how important would you say graduate studies is to the institution, to Trinity?
It's interesting because I think it's symbiotic. So graduate studies is extremely important to Trinity, and I think it's important to Trinity's growth. I think it is a program that if we can put more behind it, be able to really champion what it does for our students, it can help the college itself grow, especially in these times where, things are kind of tight in terms of students going into the future. There's studies done that college students are becoming less and less. I'm trying to explain it, and it's not coming through properly, and I apologize.
Well, it sounds like enrollment is declining and
Yes.
people have different options.
That's
Okay,
correct.
okay.
Yes.
Yes.
And so I think with being able to offer them not only the bachelor's but also their master's, that Trinity will help with those enrollment numbers.
Yeah.
The symbiotic part comes from what Trinity offers its students, right? Because if we're not offering our students something that is going to help them advance in life, then they're not going to come here. But I think we offer something to students, and then those students in turn offer us so much more.
Interesting. That's like a challenge back to Trinity
Yes,
of not cutting anybody off, but providing another stepping stone, as you said.
that's correct.
Yeah, got it. Okay. All right.
And yes, and that's basically how I see.
Okay. And how important is the faculty in graduate studies to that experience?
It's interesting because when I got my bachelor's, from being 18 to about 24, when I was doing my BA, I never really quite understood the importance of the faculty that were teaching us. To me, it was, okay, you go to history, you get your lesson, you go home, you do your homework, you do your quiz, you get your grade at the end, and you move on. It wasn't until much later when I started doing my master's that I realized the importance of the work that faculty do outside of the classroom and how much that then enriches the students' experience in classrooms.
Can you think of a specific example for you?
So when I did my English, my advisor at the time, her name was Beverly Wall. I did the rhetoric traditions, concentration in English. So her background was in rhetoric. Her background was in doing interviews and doing speaking engagements. And I took a look at her background, and it was impressive. And she brought that background back into the classroom, really taught us what it means when we're looking at rhetoric and how it influences people. But she also brought something else with her, and that was her experience as a student herself when she was going to school. And that really helped to really solidify my experience in the classroom.
How did they do that?
So she and I did my master's later on in life. So I didn't necessarily go and get my master's and my PhD after my BA. She did the same thing. She it took some time for her to go back and get her PhD. She had children when she was doing it. I have children when I'm doing it. So those experiences and being able to speak with her about those experiences really helped me to kind of pull through and realize that not only is this a woman who did her education almost the same way that I've done it in terms of having a family in waiting, but she's also teaching me something that I want to learn about. And she has her background and her experience, and she's bringing that back into the classroom.
Got it. Okay, thank you. So I'd like to talk about the faculty compensation process.
Yes.
What's your role in that, and can you describe the process steps or set of sequences that you have to do?
So basically what happens is there are a few things that faculty get additional compensation for in graduate studies. So not only do they get compensated for teaching in the classroom, but there are additional things that faculty do that then necessitate an additional compensation for the times that they do that work. One is thesis work, research projects, independent studies, and internships. And so at the beginning of the semester, a student registers for one of those things, give me the name of the individual that is supervising their work. And at the end of the semester, I get a sheet from that faculty member letting me know that I supervise this work and I need my additional, here's my form for my additional compensation. That form tells me what the work was, what the student's grade was, if it's within that time frame of the student getting a grade, and I'll explain that in a minute, and how much that compensation is for. Thesis work goes, you can either do a 1-semester thesis or a 2-semester thesis. So if a professor is supervising a 2-semester thesis, they send me the form for the first semester, and there doesn't necessarily need to be a grade at that point because the grade isn't due until the 2nd semester. But I do need to pay them for the first part of the thesis work that they've done.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it sounds like, if I play this back, the student initiates the activity,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a form that the student fills out.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of that activity, the faculty has to fill out a form,
Mm-hmm.
a different form,
Different form.
and then send it in to you.
That's correct.
The student form, does that go into you as well?
Student form does, yes.
And these are at different times?
Different times, different types of forms.
Okay,
So the student sends in a registration form letting me know that they need to enroll for the particular class that they're doing.
mm-hmm.
The faculty member at the end of the semester sends me another form that's called request for payment or request for additional compensation.
Okay, and then what happens after that?
So once I receive that form, I then do yet another form called additional compensation. I fill out the information with the faculty's information, the student that they supervise, the work that they supervise, and how much that compensation is for. That form then has to get signed by Dr. Dan, and then that has to go to the Dean of Faculty's office, and then from there it has to go to Human Resources, and then it finally makes its way to payroll.
And this is paper-based as a process?
Paper-based.
Okay, and how does it move from one entity to another?
So when I get it done, I just did one for Dr. Dan, so I had that ready for him. He signed it for me, so I have to wait for him to come into the office. We meet once a week. So at the end of the semester, once I get them all in, I then have to wait till Dr. Dan and I have a meeting for him to sign those.
Yeah.
I then either, if I have time, I can walk him over to Dean of Faculty's office, or I put him in campus mail and ship them off.
Okay, and is there ever a time where there's conflict, misunderstanding, issues?
Yes, there have been times where I've sent forms out and they've never made it to where they need to get to. Or they make it over to Pat, who then gets it over down to Human Resources, and then somewhere along the line they get lost. So I've had situations where a faculty member will write to me, a month later and say, where's my payment? I haven't gotten paid. And I'll look back, make sure that the work was done, make sure the forms were signed and sent off, and then I have to go back and trace it.
Okay, and how do you know that it went through certain steps? How do you track that?
So I know from when I start that I need to send it to Pat Moody. So I start there.
And how do you know that though? Do you search through email? Do you,
I'm sorry, what do you mean?
meaning, how do you know you studied and submitted it? By memory, or do you have a tracking process?
No, when I do the additional comp forms and I sign them, I scan those into a folder for faculty.
I see.
So then I can go back and see, okay, did I do that form? And
You
yes,
check
there it
records.
is, and
Okay.
boom. I then start with the next step of contacting Pat.
Okay, great. So I want to introduce a tool for you.
Okay.
We call it a journey map. And I would like you to think through one of those times, a specific time where you had a conflict
Okay.
or a misunderstanding. And then what were the steps you went through?
Mhm.
And then how did you feel during those steps? So I'm going to have on this side of the line,
Mhm.
say a sad face, and this a more happy face, and we can plot it accordingly.
Okay.
So can you think of a specific example? This would be time.
So we can do Karen Miller, because Karen Miller is one of our adjunct faculty who, she does do a lot of supervising of student work.
I see.
And last semester, not last semester, the spring semester, I started getting emails from her asking me where her additional comp forms or her additional compensation was for 3 students that she had supervised in the previous fall.
Okay, and so when you saw that email come in your inbox and you first opened it up, how did you feel?
I was not very happy.
And how not happy?
Extremely not happy.
Like pretty low?
Like, yeah.
All right, and what other adjective would you use besides not happy?
Angry.
Angry, okay.
Because, here it is. Number one is, for me, I felt really bad that here's this professor who's put in all this work with these 3 students, and she sent me the work when she was supposed to. I did what I was supposed to do, and here it is a month or 2 months later, and she still hasn't gotten paid for that work.
Okay, so you were angry because she did not receive what you felt was valid and should have occurred. Okay,
Yes.
What did you do next? What was the next step?
So the next step was contacting Pat to see if she had received those forms.
Yep.
And Pat has stated no, that she had not. And at this point, this was a period of time where we were having trouble with mail here at my office.
Okay, so where would that plot out?
So again, I was still very mad. I was even more angry because my mail didn't get to Pat.
Okay. What'd you do next?
So the next thing was, okay, let me write back to Karen, let her know that it, it fell through the cracks. I'll take the blame, and I'll let her know that I'll redo the paperwork for her, and try to get it out to payroll as quickly as possible.
And how did you feel about that conversation?
That's like right in the middle.
Like here? Or...
Yeah, like about here. It's
Okay.
neutral, because at this point it needs to get done. There's nothing else that I can do.
And-
Form's missing. I gotta get it done.
Yeah.
I just gotta get back to her and let her know that it's being worked on.
So you engaged, what was her name again?
Karen?
Karen.
Mhm.
And you were honest and said, I'm going to try to expedite.
Yep.
Okay. And then what'd you do?
So then the next thing I needed to do was do the forms again, get those signed. So that was requiring getting Dan to come down and sign those forms for me again. And then at this point, I'm walking the forms from my office to Pat Moody's office to make sure it gets there.
Okay. What was it like engaging Dan? Did you try to push him, expedite him?
I just told him, this is what happened with Karen's stuff. I've redone the forms. Can I have you come in when you have a second and sign it for me? He's like right across the way, so at lunchtime he just stopped in, signed them, and off it went.
Okay, where would that go?
That's very happy right here, because I get,
So Dan followed through.
yeah, that's a number. Once you get that signature, you're good to go.
Okay. And then you said you walked through the process. Can you, where would you put the walking through?
I'm gonna put that neutral.
Okay.
Because it's a walk.
Walking through. And then
get it over to Pat. She signs it for me, so I'm extremely happy because she's signing them for me.
Yeah.
And then I walk it down to Human Resources. And it's a matter of, okay, can you please sign this and can you scan it over to payroll so that we can get her paid?
Yeah.
And that's also very neutral. It's just a walk down, speaking with them. They grab the forms, they sign them. Yes, we'll take care of it. I'm extremely happy because now I've gotten into just another set of the right hands, and I know it's going to get to payroll where it needs to get paid.
Okay. Okay.
And then something can happen. Either one of two things can happen. Either Karen will now have to wait to her next paycheck, or if the time period has been like a long time, she's been waiting for this for an extremely long time,
Mm-hmm.
they can expedite and do a check for her before payroll is due for faculty. So payroll's done on a monthly basis for faculty.
What did you do for this?
I actually don't do much of anything. I just asked them, look, she's been waiting, it's been this long, this is the issue that happened, can we get a check out to her sooner rather than later?
Yep.
And it usually, payroll's been extremely helpful and great in terms of, there have been times where they've been able to do that, especially if it's an emergency.
Okay.
And that is an extremely, if I had a paper hat and, paper horn, I'd be extremely happy around campus blowing that around.
Okay, great. That was very helpful. Let's see. It sounded like 4 different ways of getting compensated. Was I right?
Explain to me how you figured 4 different ways.
There was teaching the course was one. Providing oversight on a thesis was a second. Then I thought there was 2 others. I could be wrong.
So teaching the course is that's just part of you're a professor at a college. That's just part of the deal. The additional compensation.
Even in graduate, there's no differentiation between undergrad and grad.
I don't understand how they do how they split the TUs for graduate and undergraduate, but I don't think there's a separate compensation for a professor to teach.
Okay.
Graduate studies, I think, is just part of, if the department chooses to do graduate studies, there's just a division of how the TUs are separated out.
Okay. That was helpful. Thank you.
But in terms of the additional compensation for graduate studies, it's thesis work, research, independent studies, or internship.
Okay.
And then there is one 5th category, and that is when students do thesis work, they also have to find readers, and readers get additional compensation.
I see. And what process does that follow?
That one follows no process. That one follows at the end of the semester, once a grade is sent in, a reader, if he or she knows that they get additional comp for that work, will send me the forms.
Okay.
Where I lose people is individuals who do not know that they get additional compensation for that work, and I don't see a form until 2 or 3 years down the line.
Years. Wow.
So I have one right now. We had one this past semester. She did not realize that she got additional compensation for thesis work that she had supervised, and it went back to 2014. So we had to go back and check and make sure that all the work and the grades were in, and then we did the additional comp for that time period.
Okay.
So that's another issue that we're trying to also deal with, and making sure that our faculty understand that if they do supervise work, they get that additional comp.
Yeah, okay. Okay. One of the questions I've been asking everyone is that we just turned over into a new century. It's 2020. And I feel very generous, and I want to give people magic wands. So I want to give you a couple magic wands to do something about this process. What would you wish for? What would you wish would happen within the compensation process?
So one of the things that would be, if I could have my way, is that as soon as a faculty member throws in or puts in a grade for that additional work that they do, whether it's a thesis, whether it's a research project, an independent study, or an internship. As soon as that grade hits the system, that the system then sends out this additional comp form, request for payment, so that, or a link to it so that it's online, so that faculty then can say, oh wait, let me click, let me fill it out, let me hit submit. And then we don't have faculty waiting a long period of time to get paid.
Okay, great. The next one, though, I want you to be bolder. So think about, I want to go back to your comments about how that faculty member inspired you and just how powerful this whole thing could be. What would you wish for within the faculty graduate studies / compensation process?
I'm not exactly sure what you're asking.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I explained it right. I guess what I'm saying is I want to go beyond just the blocking and tackling, using a football analogy of the compensation process.
Right.
And I want to go more into how can we make this graduate study program amazing for both faculty and students? What would you wish for, knowing all that you know?
Goodness. That's like blowing my mind right now, because that's like asking for one thing in a basket that has like 50 billion things that can just make this amazing.
Yeah, like I can check my trunk to see if I have more wands, but let's say I got one wand for now.
You know, I think for me, and it's been difficult, and you know, part of it, and you know, for me, having come into this role, not necessarily having done this before, because I've always just been an admin, and just trying to understand everything about grad studies and trying to catch up with everything that had been kind of let to kind of fall through the cracks before I came on board. If I had a wand that can make everything so much better, it's just getting me to the point, or getting this, or not even me, but getting this office to the point where all the past stuff has already been taken care of. Everything's been organized, everything's moving forward, so that this office can just be servicing our students and servicing our faculty members in a way that can make, I'm measuring my words because they're gonna come out like I'm an elementary school student, and that's not what I'm trying to do.
I'll just let it out, yeah. You're in a very safe spot.
So that they feel like they have a resource that's available to them that they can come to anytime. So when I interviewed for this position, one of the things that I wanted to make this office was more than just an office, more than just a place where you can come and grab your form or drop your form off, right? I wanted to create a center that the office was a part of, and having students to come in and take courses in, you know, online courses like in lynda.com, learning how to do Excel sheets, to take courses that go beyond what they're learning in the classroom, and having faculty members come in and feel comfortable being able to sit down and speak with students and give them that information, or teach them those types of courses, or sit here with them, look at the course, and then help to answer those questions for them. We're going on year 2, and we're nowhere near that right now. Interesting.
I love how you describe your experience with the faculty member and your vision. It's really powerful. If I was to paraphrase, what I think I heard was, I want to hit a big reset button.
Yes.
I don't want to be dragged down by the past anymore, so that as we have this go forward approach, we're not going to have these step backs. We're going to set a line in the sand, and going forward, we're going to have a new attitude, a new mindset, a new way of delivering the mission.
Mm-hmm.
Did I get it right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good job,
You did great.
that's-
'Cause-
no, I'm
'cause
listening.
I can sit here and I can speak like, I can use like 50 billion different words.
Yep.
But those 10 that you just came up with are the ones that are eluding me. Thank
Yeah,
you.
No, please. I'm listening and just playing it back. You're doing all the hard work, for sure. Okay, let's see. Are there any business rules that we should know about, or academic rules within the process? Are there legal or accounting or policy-based, or
In terms of,
the compensation process?
my job is to get the forms done, making sure that the forms get to the faculty, making sure that, or, if they ask for it, making sure that the form gets back to me so that I can fill out the additional comp form, making sure that gets out to where it needs to get to.
Yeah.
Anything beyond that, I do not know.
Okay, good. Okay. Are there any other closing thoughts that you'd like to have?
Breathe.
Yep.
And that's my goal for 2020 is just breathe.
Yeah.
I need to get, like you said, we need to draw that line in the sand. And that's where, what I'm aiming for, and that's what I'm hoping, when Dalia came to me and asked me, is there anything, this is just one of the issues that I find extremely frustrating, not because it's frustrating for me in terms of having to do the work. It's frustrating for me because my faculty are not getting what they deserve to be getting.
Yeah.
When they deserve to be getting it. And I know that there are easier ways to make it happen so that these stumbling blocks aren't there. And I can do my work and make my faculty feel comfortable with me doing my work. And this is just one of the many different things that Dan and I will be working on trying to overcome and make so much easier and so much better for everybody.
That's great. Well, I thank you for all your thoughts, your motivations, and your time.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.